Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Commission Breath. Brandon Love here with Tom Moffat. And today we have a special guest from Steel City, Ashton Lambert. Ashton, thanks for jumping on with us.
Yeah, no, thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Steel City, I like that. Haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, the name still stands.
Yeah. We've known each other for a bit now, you and I, just on social alone, like going back and forth over the years. And if I had to point out two things that really bring top of mind when I look at your content, it's you're transparent, honest with clients, and you just really know your shit when it comes to guidelines, lender products. And if I had to point out someone that was the most consistent on social, it would probably be you, because you've always been on there. You're on there every day. So I figured, let's have you on the pod. Let's talk about those two frameworks, those two pillars that I think is probably a big part of your business, is the social media and just the overall product knowledge. And you can correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think we should do a deep dive on that and kind of go from there.
Yeah, man, no, you nailed it. Those are two things I really focus on and like kind of showcasing that as well. So I can definitely give you kind of a rundown and an idea of my trajectory from kind of the start to where I'm at now. But those two things, yeah, appreciate you bringing those up. Those are what I really try and showcase as part of my model for mortgage business.
Yeah, because you came from an underwriting background, right?
Yeah, so I actually, 10 years ago, I was hired by Brian Hogbin at Mission 35 in Hamilton. But I was hired with just Brian, his brother, and me. And now they're one of the biggest brokerages around. So it was really cool. I really got to see from the ground up a brokerage be built. And I was doing admin. I was the customer intake specialist as well. So seeing leads come in, understanding organizational wise how to handle the flow of leads, setting expectations for clients and partners with communication. I owe a lot to Brian for giving me that chance and teaching me that. And I worked for him for probably 5 years, got to learn that admin side. And then I made a switch when I became an underwriter after that. Started working at Synergy Mortgage Group, where I'm at now. I can touch a bit more on that, but that's kind of been the springboard for giving me some of the tools I now have and the confidence I have when chatting with clients.
Nice. Okay. So you had like the client care, sort of client specialist role, and then into underwriting from there. And then how did you make the leap into brokering, or was it just a natural transition?
Yeah. So I'll be honest, I never went out and was like, yeah, I want to be an entrepreneur and do mortgages. Like, it's funny, you go to like college, university, and we're still so young and like, we just have no clue what we're going to end up doing. I think it's pretty rare to actually go and end in that field that you are educated in. So working for Bri, I loved it. Always like chatting with people. Again, ended up making a switch to Synergy Mortgage Group. Some of my friends run that brokerage. They hired me as an underwriter. I did that for 4 years with them. And over time, I started doing social media probably 5 years ago. Pardon my language, but like just for shits and giggles at the time. If you go and watch my old videos, it's like kind of cringe. The info there was good, but like it was just so basic back then.
Like robotic and choppy.
Like on a chalkboard, like mapping stuff out. But like there wasn't many people doing that in the industry at all at the time. And over time, my circle started watching my stuff. They ended up connecting with me, and it's kind of a domino effect. Once you have your circle start to utilize you for their mortgage needs, they refer a friend, family, etc. Realtor partners started reaching out. Hey, Ashton, I watched your stuff. Can we connect? Again, at the time, there was not really many people doing it, so it was easier to stand out. And doing 4 years of underwriting at Synergy, over those 4 years, I slowly started doing my own files on the side. And eventually, it was clear that like I have to go and take this opportunity to level up my business. So I did, and the guys have been supportive ever since.
Nice. That's awesome.
You probably got your hands on a lot of files at Synergy, right, as an underwriter?
Yeah, one thing I'm proud of, I try and echo this in not a, oh my gosh, I'm amazing marketing mode, but like the average mortgage agent, they're maybe funding 15 to 20 files a year, the average agent, but the average underwriter is seeing hundreds, if not thousands per year. So my time underwriting, like I'm very proud of it. That experience can't really be matched unless you're actually doing that. So grateful for the opportunity to do that, because that's allowed me to not learn on the fly with files that I pick up now. I just had so many moments in the trenches learning that over the years, right? So I'm proud of echoing, like doing that underwriting position. I've seen thousands and thousands of files, right?
For sure. And you've done the reps, and you know that when you get your own files, you're like, okay, I've done this 100 times before. I know exactly where I'm going to place this file. I know the documents they're going to need. Talking to the clients, you have all the experience. So you're starting with like you're starting, yes, as a new agent, but you have years of experience and you're developing the skills that, someone 3-4 years in probably doesn't even have yet.
Yeah. And again, just the admin side of things too, and just understanding how to properly handle the communication aspect and setting out expectations for clients. I mean, really, you can get a mortgage anywhere, but it's the experience that us brokers have to deliver on that keeps people coming back and gives them the experience they deserve, right? So that admin side, being soaked into many years of doing that, coupled with the underwriting, like that's allowed me to just take files with confidence and know that I'm putting clients in the best possible spot.
Yeah, and I think there's really two ways that a lot of people look at it in the industry. And I think a lot of people put heavy emphasis on the sales aspect of mortgage brokering, which is very important to bring in the leads and know how to sell. But the one thing that a lot of people are forgetting is you can't just hire right away and have someone experienced underwrite your files. It really, really helps if you have the experience going through the files, underwriting, packaging everything together. And that learning curve takes quite a while when you first start in the industry. So, a really good pathway that a lot of people can look at as a new agent is, instead of diving in with both feet, maybe go the route that you did. Start as a fulfillment specialist, go into underwriting, get your feet wet, get to know like the processes with brokerages. And then from there, the discovery calls are going to be much more impactful and easier for you when you have that conversation with the client, because you're going to be very confident knowing your products with that upfront call. Am I right in saying that it was pretty fluid for you out of the gates?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think you just nailed it off the top there. Like, there's a sales aspect to bringing in leads. You can bring in leads, but do you also have the other end of the coin of the underwriting and lender knowledge and confidence to deliver and close those leads and give clients the proper solution? You can learn that, but to have them both at the same time, just via experience, has been helpful for sure.
For sure. And I think having that, I would say, like, there's people who are naturally good at sales. There's no doubt about that. There's a certain element that you can just teach someone, okay, if you do these calls, you have these meetings, you just get the reps in from a sales side, you're going to get good at it eventually. The underwriting side, I find it's very hard unless you're actually handling a file to learn. Like, you can read all the lender sheets, you can spend all day on lender spotlight. Unless you're actually working a file through the whole system, you're not really picking up that technical knowledge. Whereas the sales side, you could go pitch to 20 realtors today and have another 1,000 to call tomorrow. It doesn't matter, but you can't cycle through the files the same way. So it's a leg up and a unique advantage that way for sure.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Tom nailed it too. Like, just any new agents, sometimes I'll chat with some as well. I'm always happy to have a conversation. Keeps me sharp as well when I kind of speak with newer agents, because it makes me think about my processes, and saying it verbally out loud helps me learn as well too, right? But newer agents, like, my number one piece of advice is, like, join a brokerage that has onboarding, hands-on training, maybe helps you with your first 10 to 15 files, or like Tom said too, like joining a broker team or working for a broker and like being their fulfillment specialist or being their underwriter. That's like invaluable experience that, Brandon, like you said, you don't really learn unless you're hands-on doing it, right?
Yeah, I remember when I was first starting, I was like part of this, we call it like underground underwriting. There was like 10 different like agents and there was a few experienced people, and everyone would just like share their screen and go through the files that they were working on. And it was a unique perspective because like we obviously all did not have dozens of files to work on, but through that we got to see how everyone was underwriting their file, and then some mentorship and oversight of what we were actually doing scaled my trajectory of learning so much quicker because I was able to see someone else's refinance or someone else's B deal, even though I might only have like one or two purchases at the time.
Yeah, no, cool for sure.
So, one of the big things that we like talking about on the show is marketing and sales, and really just pulling back the curtain on where brokers get their business from. So, if you had to know like the percentage of where you get most of your business, where do you think most of it would come from? Whether it's social, client referrals, realtors, do you have an idea of the mix?
Yeah, I do. I've always been very mindful not to put all my eggs in one basket. A lot of brokers join the business and we just, call realtors, right? Realtors get telemarketer calls from us all day, every day. So tons of opportunities out there for realtors and mortgage brokers to connect. I'd say probably 30% of my business is realtors, say about 25% from social, and then probably, what percentage do I have left here? Probably about 35% from like personal network / past clients. I've been very careful when I've tried to map out how I can service properly different referral sources and also not lean too heavily on real estate agents. I love the ones I work with, a lot of amazing realtors out there, but sometimes like it was a rough year this year for realtors. We can't always rely on realtors to help us do business. Again, still tons of opportunities out there, but if you're putting all your eggs in that basket, you're playing a bit of a dangerous game. I think it's important to be diversified.
That's a healthy mix. Like looking at those numbers, I'm actually very heavy on realtors still, and I'm trying to make that transition.
I'll do any mortgage for any realtor. I'll do it.
Yeah, but hey, if I can get more, even from like the past client referrals, man, like I'm happy to do that. And that's my focus for this year, is to increase that percentage. If you had to pinpoint, like when you first started the business, were you heavy on one of them and then it kind of led to being balanced?
My first 10 deals, honestly, probably came directly from social media, but people that I kind of knew. Maybe I went to school with them or what have you, right? Again, 5-6 years ago, there wasn't a lot of brokers on social. So I'd say that was my first, 5 to 10 deals was all social. And then I started getting more confident. I started dropping voice notes to realtors on Instagram, which people probably do now, but that wasn't being done back in the day either.
Early days, man.
Yeah, I really understood the algorithm of the social media world, and I wanted people to be in my algorithm. So I dropped them voice notes. I'd go like their stuff. I'd comment on things. Strategically, I'd carve out time within a day to do that. Get them in my algorithm and then just be consistent as hell. And eventually they just see my face every single day. And I'd like to think I know what I'm talking about for the most part. So they'd see that too. And I developed some realtor relationships that way as well.
That seems to be the trend, is more so through the DMs. You're selling through the DMs. You're staying top of mind by doing the likes, the comments. And the DMs keeps you top of the list too. And would you say that the posts don't necessarily bring in leads directly? It's more so what you're doing behind the scenes, or even your stories that you're posting?
I think stories are the most powerful these days, and they always have been. You can't really measure reels or posts. Stories, you can go on and you can see who's watching your stuff all the time.
Yeah.
You can see who's watching to the end. Reels, you can see the amount of watches, but it doesn't tell you who. Maybe it does now with some more tech in the mix, but I just feel the most measurable and authentic thing, picking up your camera and just talking to it. I have no problem doing that. I have no issues speaking in public or on social. So getting people in my algorithm and just like talking every single day about how I helped the client or how I taught someone something. If you can teach someone something new that they haven't heard, it opens up a bit of a door for you to gain their trust and keep growing that relationship. It's a strategy in my head that I've always kind of approached, but also not talking about mortgages all the freaking time either. Yeah. Also showing people who I am and having fun with it too.
Yeah, I think it's really important to be consistent with the content to stay top of mind, but also, like you said, like there's a lot of people that are just like, I have to eventually unfollow them because there's so many mortgage people in our space. But like, you're just like, oh man, like don't bang us over the head with the same thing over and over again. Like,
did you know the Bank of Canada has a rate announcement next week?
Oh man. And it's just, hey, it happened. It's not like, let's dive deeper in what that actually means. It's just like, all right, here's a static post. It happened.
Yeah, it gets a little cringy at times, but I would say it's better than not posting anything sometimes. But the same respect, like you're going to get beat out by someone who's providing value, who has a fresh take on it, and who isn't a mortgage robot. Some of them just look like bot accounts. So when you show that little bit of your personality and an element of yourself, it does create a bigger draw for people.
Yeah, I think like, again, not knocking it, but like the same pre-made canvas the entire industry uses, the same captions, the same, you got to stand out and just, it's not about like coming up with the craziest post. It's just about really also showing who you are, that you know what you're talking about and how you can be trusted too. And like the marketing and content that you're actually posting is a little behind that. You just use it also to back up your personal brand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
When it comes to your team structure, is it just yourself, or do you have fulfillment, or what do you got going on there?
Just me, buddy. Just me. Yeah. So I'm looking to hire again. So I never envisioned like being self-employed. Things kind of happened really quickly for me. I know I gave like a 10-year span timeline of like my growth, but like I was doing underwriting, and then the next day I was self-employed in my head. So I'm still also learning to be candid about like how to run a business, but that business is just me. Right. So I am looking to hire. I just don't know which hole I want to plug in yet. I've done a lot of the underwriting. I've done a lot of the admin. I can do things pretty quickly and efficiently, where like the volume I'm at, like I'm still able to handle it, but I do want to grow, and I don't want to overstretch my promises and start scaling back on service. So that would be one of the reasons to also hire. It's happening. I'm a bit stuck on what hole I actually want to fill.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you mind me asking kind of what volume where you're hitting this inflection point? Because I find everyone's sort of at a different point where they decide it's time to hire.
Yeah, so I'm at 35 mil this year.
Nice, that's good.
Last year I did like 30. The year before I did 30. And then my first year I did like 12. So again, things kind of went pretty quickly for me on that end as well. I'm still shocked to this day at like, oh my gosh, like never even imagined I'd be able to do that.
That's a great start.
Organically, yeah.
And during like times that are really, really tough right now too, and you're still growing and doing it yourself. Like I could only imagine if you hired fulfillment, the amount of time you'd have to maybe do more social and grab some more leads in. But it is hard, man. It's hard to give up that control with someone that you. It is, yeah. Where do you think you spend most time during the file? Is it the back and forth doc gathering, or is it more so the fulfillment of signing packages and stuff?
Honestly, the most time I spend on a file, I'm very anal about getting everything up front, but explaining why to clients. You're in the business, you would know there's cases where like, okay, we'll let this slide, we'll get it later, etc. But I really take the time to explain to clients, even on an opening call, like here's the things that will come up. Hey, I don't actually need this to assess your file right now, but if we end up working together, I'm just trying to be efficient and proactive. These things will be asked for. Do you mind giving them now to make it easy? Remove some of the heavy lifting for later. So I'm very proactive in getting a lot of stuff up front. So that's not a big bog down of my time, unless we're going back and forth with upside down JPEGs and grainy cell phone photos. Just a joke to any clients that end up watching this. But fulfillment, yeah, that takes a lot of my time up. We know how it is. You send a doc in 2 days to review it. Oh, we need this. Oh, question here. It takes a lot of time. And when you got so many files, sometimes it's hard to track all that as well. But I spend a lot of time on preparing items to present to clients at the approval stage. When I jump on a call with a client to speak about their approval options, I basically send them an email about 5 minutes before the call with multiple attachments. I show them some different scenarios with different mortgage approval options. This is at the approval stage. I show them some data. There's like some Bank of Canada data. I posted in the other mortgage brokering Facebook group the other day. TMOS has a chart talking about rates. There's some other marketing pieces I use explaining monoline versus bank. There's about 6 or 7 sheets that I give to clients, and I walk them through that on approval calls and explain literally every single thing that I feel is important to know about a mortgage. That's my approval call. They're pretty in depth. I spend a lot of time prepping those and like really, really tailoring my conversation to that client specifically.
Wow. What is the length of that call roughly?
Half hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
But the prep time before it, like it takes me a while to nail it. One, I want to close the file. Like I appreciate any client giving me a chance to do a mortgage for them, but I obviously want to blow them away and close that mortgage. But I want to be an advisor for life as well. So like I'm going to go as in depth as possible.
Yeah.
And earn that business for life, really. That's my goal.
That's your secret sauce. I knew there was something there. You probably get maybe like 2 or 3 Google reviews a week, or I don't know what your cadence is, man, but I'm always seeing you post. I'm like, what is he doing in his client journey that is like different? And that must be it. Like all of the different graphs and the info you're giving them at approval.
Yeah.
Like I would think as a client receiving that's super sticky versus, someone might shop you and just get like, hey, I can get you X rate. And you're like, oh, well, Ashton just gave me this whole package walking me through a strategy that's going to help me. And like I have him in my corner versus you just gave me, even if it's slightly better, it's not even going to compare.
Yeah. And I tell clients, hey, like I totally understand if you want to talk to someone else or talk to your bank. It's normal. I get it. Personally, I actually kind of liked when sometimes clients do that because I can showcase, oh, your bank gave you a letter with a rate. Did they talk about anything else? There's some great bank advisors out there who will do more, but I'm really confident in my process. And like, sometimes I like clients to see a comparison. It also helps me solidify the like, hey, like I'm going to look after you for your mortgage now and in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
If you had to pinpoint one thing you're looking to improve on in the new year for 2025, what would that be?
Tech.
Okay.
I think you guys are good at this, so maybe I can pick your ear offline. I'm still using some systems and some tech that isn't probably on par with some of the things that other people are adopting.
FileLogix?
I'm still using FileLogix. I like it. None of this is affecting the client or experience, which is what matters most. But yeah, I'm still using some systems that I've been using for years and I just have a hard time letting go of.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we see it. You go on social media or like, there's so many competitors out there. There's people coming from every angle. AI, Pineapple Mortgage, they have some crazy new tech. There's tech. There's new stuff. There's Wealth Simple coming into the mix. There's a lot of stuff out there. I still think the core of it is like your knowledge and like your care level and your integrity with the client. But all these things are making me think of like, oh man, I got to adopt some of these things before I'm left in the dust. That's my honest assessment.
Yeah, well, we're actually not very heavy on tech, actually. We're kind of in the same boat.
All right, I'm good then.
Yeah, still get advice from us. The only thing I would say is the tech we use is more so from like a marketing perspective, not so much like an automation through the client journey. Like we've never been a fan of that because we're like you. We want to have that manual touch point because every client's going to be different with the customization, and having these automated emails go out, for me, I don't like that in case it doesn't apply to that person. So the only automation that I could think of that we have would be, it's not even automation, but using a program like Yesware where you have email templates where you can literally click on the email that you want. Everything's already there templated for you. You're only filling out a couple things, customizing a few lines, and away you go. Like that's the stuff I use to really shave down on time. Brandon, you might have a couple others, but...
Yeah, no, I was honestly thinking the same thing. I'm like, anything going into tech for you, I think where you're at would probably be shiny object because you've got everything dialed in from an experience wise. I would more so like Tom said, do those templates because then if you decide to hire, you just teach someone how to use the template and it's very easy to plug them into the system. But yeah, like I find anything tech related, it looks really attractive from the outside and it looks like people are getting a lot of, it's just shiny though. There's no like, it's not contributing to your volume or your growth that way. So if you're looking to look better, great. But beyond that, I think like what you're providing with that upfront call and all that stuff, I would just double down on your client experience because it's paying dividends for you already.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But no, that's my struggle right now too, is like, okay, I'm delivering on this, on the experience like you just mentioned, but yeah, the shiny object stuff is just floating around in my head constantly every single day as you go on the internet or you talk to competitors, right? So yeah, glad to hear we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, we have the shiny object. We're getting better at it year after year, but like for a while, Tom and I were like, oh, yeah, let's do that. Let's do this. And then it's like, we just spent like 2 months doing nothing now because of this. So.
Yeah, or a whole year with a whole consumer facing podcast, Canadian Mortgage Guide, like, like some pretty major shiny objects that we did. But if we didn't have Tango, 100%, I would still be diving in on, we had this old podcast, Ashton, that was consumer facing, all about like mortgage strategy, mortgage basics. And we actually started seeing results after we pulled the plug on that. And that's part of what I admire about you is you're so consistent with the social. And it's funny because we just interviewed Chantel Wright, who's very big on social as well. And you're seeing this trend with agents and brokers actually doing really well on social. So it's kind of opening up my eyes again. I don't want it to be a shiny object for me. Brandon, you're laughing, but it's really cool to hear.
Yeah, I think we're a little bit manic. Maybe manic's not the right psychological diagnosis, but we flip-flop. We're all like, no, we are not going to do social. We're just going to stick to our spreadsheet, our calls, and like get our client journey dialed in. And then like 2 months later, I'm like, ooh, what about this avenue on social? Or so like consistency is key. You can see it's paid dividends for like yourself where you started at a point where maybe it was a little janky with a chalkboard and like a little scripted, but now years in, you've done it so many times that like turning your camera on and just recording is nothing to you. So you're going to have that competitive advantage versus someone starting and just trying to figure it out. And like also drawing from experience and all the files and the knowledge and stuff that way. I think when you have that, it makes sense to leverage it for the growth in your business and it's clearly working for you. For other people who don't have hundreds of files they've looked at, it's a little bit harder to pull out these different scenarios because it's really something that's unique to your position.
For sure. I still think too, though, no matter what, like if you're going on social, like, I don't know, I'm big on this. Like, I don't need a mortgage page and then an Ashton personal page. Some other people, they do for privacy reasons, whatever. But I really think like you guys get this, but like you're the brand, just showcasing who you are, your life, mortgages are there. But like, I still think it's really important to not separate who you are as a person and the business. People got to get to know you, and social media is an amazing tool to like earn trust without even meeting someone in person. I've gotten referrals from realtors, I still do, that I've never even met. They're just like, hey, I watched your stuff. I really trust you. Can I send you this client? And like, never met him. And I'm like, well, that's pretty
awesome.
Cool. So, yeah. So
For sure. I think it's kind of the thing, like if you get your lives too segregated, it's like this is the politician mortgage person, and then this is the
where your voice is different.
this is the person that has 6 beers on a Friday night and good time with their buddies, but they're never like married to the same, and one will inevitably bleed into the other, and it just like looks messy or it looks fake. Versus like, I'd rather someone be like, hey, I have a good time, I work hard, and this is who I am. Like if we jive, let's work together. Or if not, there's no shortage of realtors, there's no shortage of mortgage brokers. There's someone that will fit for you, but I'd rather find someone who fits my kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, nailed it for sure.
Ashton, thanks so much for coming on today. We're going to throw your Instagram handle down in the show notes for anyone who wants to reach out to you. And it's amazing to see your trajectory, and really cool for people who are coming into the industry or also maybe looking to find where they fit in the industry, that you can kind of go that avenue of doing fulfillment, underwriting, and learn some different roles before making the full leap and have a very successful career out of it. Like 35 mil, that's amazing. So congrats to you. Thanks for coming on and sharing your story. And I look forward to catching up again in the future.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for having me. I appreciate it.
Cheers.